an app from scratch is a very simple process. The first thing you want to do is add a new project. So what we want to do is go over here where it says Add New Mobile App and click on the button. Next, we want to choose from scratch, then click on Next. Now we want to fill in a few details about our app project. So first you want to name it, and I'm going to name this one Day 1. And then we're going to answer a few questions about the setup of our app. Do you want to run your app in standalone mode? This is a very special mode in which you would build out an app, you'll build the entire thing, and then it will operate without any type of internet or Wi-Fi connection. This is only used in special scenarios, and for this app project, we're going to not check on the box and keep going. Next, do you want to enable global instructions? Global instructions are 1 to 5 pages of instructions on either how to use your app or to highlight special features. You do not have to check mark it during this step. You can always come back to it later. So we're going to skip past this and move on to the access method. Your access method is how your app user gains entry into the app. Sometimes you can set up an app with a barrier so that where they have to either enter in a code or a username and password, or you can use what we're going to use today, which is unrestricted. Unrestricted allows you to download the app and immediately start using it without any barrier to entry. We do have a few others, and we'll get into those in later lessons. If you are using an analytics platform such as Google or Flurry, you can enable analytics here. And if you are using one of our third-party wayfinding services such as Gimbal, you can also enable that in this step as well. If you don't want to, you can always do it later. Next, we're going to move on to our phone navigation settings. This is how you move around in the app. So you have the option of using what is called a flyout menu, where we are going to have these 3 lines up in the corner that you tap on and a little menu shoots out from the side. Or you can use one of our other combinations where we have tabs. Tabs are the little buttons that are going to remain on the bottom part of the screen. You can choose to have tabs with a navigation bar on the home screen. You can choose just to have a navigation bar on the home screen. You can choose to have tabs only, or if you don't want either, you can choose no menu, and you can set up your navigation as you like by creating buttons on the screen. For this exercise, we're going to choose no menu. If you are building out an iPad version, you can click on the box to create an iPad app, and then you can choose your navigation settings from there. We're going to move on past this down to our color palette. For the color palette, you've got a couple of options. You can enter in a website, and then click on Get Colors, and what will happen is the platform will go in and scrape that website for pre-approved colors, and then you can just drag and drop them into the palette right next to it. Or, if you want, you can type in your own hexadecimal code, click on Add Color, and then the color will automatically appear on the palette for you. You don't have to complete this step here. You can come back to this later as well. Next, we have loading images, also called splash images. A splash image is very important. When you first download an app and it starts to load, an image will pop up on the screen, and typically it's going to be the logo for your app. It pops up for a moment, sizes the screen, and then it sets the proportions of the app onto your device's screen. There are many different devices with many different dimensions, and the loading image helps set that. We have one for Androids, smaller Androids and iPhone 4. We also have them for iPhone 5 and larger Androids. And if you're using an iPad, there's also a spot here as well. This is another step you do not have to complete right at the beginning. You can come back to it later, and I'll show you more about that in a future video. Background images are completely optional. If you would like to use a background image in your app, again, we have 3 here where you can add them, and you'll be able to have those in your app. If you don't want a background image, you can skip that step completely, or if you change your mind later, you can add a background image in another step. Next, click Add. And after a few seconds to up to a minute, your new app project that you have created is going to show up at the top of your app project list. You can click on your app project, and now you have access to your canvas to begin working on your new app.